Okay, welcome to episode 1 of the Athlete Method podcast. Today we're going to be chatting about recovery. So this is something that I get asked a lot about with my clients that I work with, and I do see a lot of it online as well. And I'm sure you guys have seen so many different things pop up around the things that you might need to do or the things that you think you need to be doing to get more recovery. The important thing to think about with our recovery is that it is a natural process that our body is constantly doing. Now, there are different times where our body is working harder to actually do that recovery at that physiological level, like sleep or post training or post some sort of high intensity or increased loading. And that's the way that our body repairs itself. It adapts to different stimuluses and load, and it helps you to improve and progress further. Now, I'm going to break it down into the key 3 pillars that I think are the most important for recovery, and then a bit of a framework as to how you guys can apply it to your life, because there are so many different things that are always happening in our life, and nothing is really singular, in particular with health and performance. Everything does interrelate. So being able to have a bit of a bird's eye view on that and then zone into those different areas will help you guys to nut out and identify which things you actually might need to do a bit more of, or where you want to put your effort into. So what I want you to take away from today is what you can get the most bang for your buck from, in terms of if you are going to put a bit more time and effort into your recovery, and the things that maybe you can just put to the side and save either some of your pennies or your time on that. So I'm going to break them down into the 3 main pillars that I like to look at them through, and those 3 being nutrition, sleep, and hydration. And again, it seems so obvious and so simple, but essentially, if you nail the basics, you are probably ahead of most of the people already, because the basics just take ultimate consistency. So you want to do the fun, the flashy things, you want to do the thing that's the quickest, but if you actually come back to and nail these basics, that's where you'll get the most return from that. So if you're spending a lot of time going out doing ice baths, if you're going to the saunas, doing these sort of protocols, trying all these different types of recovery, those things are also great, but they are like the cherry on top. But if you aren't nailing these 3 key pillars, then you're probably wasting a bit of money and time on that and not doing those key things that you actually need to kickstart that recovery process. So number 1, sleep. So this is the ultimate time for your body to repair, regenerate. It is a very active process that your body is going through overnight, where so many different things are happening at that physiological level. Your nervous system has time to repair. Your muscles at that cellular level are repairing the proteins. They are regenerating within your muscle, within the tissues, and just boosting that energy back up for your next day, for your next training, or your next level of performance, essentially. So it's definitely something, and it can be really tricky as well. Like I'm certainly prone to not being able to sleep very well, and so I do understand the difference between, the stress of trying to make that a really good habit and the need to do it, and then sometimes in life when it is busy or you're working, you've got uni, full-time work, kids, all these different factors that can affect our sleep. So things that happen during sleep, which are most important for us, are that our muscles are repairing and regenerating that cell and protein synthesis. It is repairing, if you're thinking about your tendons, muscles, joints, and adapting essentially as well. So helping you actually grow from the things that you have done. It also is really important for our immune and hormonal function as well. So there's a lot of things that are happening on that physiological level to make sure that those systems are working really well and are at a really good capacity. And it also is really important for our cognitive function as well. So there's a lot happening during the night. So it is important that we consider this as a really key recovery tool. I'm going to tell you a few of these more researched habits that we can think about for our sleep and how you can practically implement them. So a few of the practical targets to try and think about, which are, a lot of this has evidence around it now, which is awesome, is that sleep duration. So that's 7 to 9 hours. This will obviously vary night to night and individual to individual, but there's a lot of research around that getting that really good quality sleep within that amount is going to help you repair and recover as best as you can. It isn't always possible each night, and having one night's sleep isn't going to throw all your hard work out the window either, or it doesn't mean you're going to perform any worse on game day or at that training, but it is more about the long term and the longevity of that. So what's that consistency like over a period of time? If it's just 1 or 2 nights, maybe it's just 1 week, you might start to feel that bit of an effect. But if it's gone ongoing weeks and weeks, that's when you can see some of those changes and effects. You might feel them mentally, physically. So 1 night, don't stress about that, which I know it's hard to not when you are trying to get to sleep, you're tired. The second thing is the sleep consistency. Now, there has been a lot of really good research around this, and going to sleep at a certain time and waking up at a certain time. Having that consistency can be a really good way to improve your sleep patterns. It also helps with your melatonin release, which is the sleep hormone. But overall, if you can have a reasonably consistent schedule, then you're going to get your most bang for your buck out of your sleep that way. Again, if you've got a lot of other factors, then there might be other ways that you need to try and work around that. Or if you work shifts or have young kids as well, it is tricky and it is a bit of a juggle. So not everything will be perfect. The other thing is just avoiding screens 60 minutes before sleeping and you get stuck on the scroll, but trying to lock yourself out of those and just letting your body and mind calm down, finding that routine. So you might have no shower, do skincare, read a book, whatever it is. And so having that routine and habit around that is a great way to signal your body that it's wind down time now and time to rest. The other thing as well is trying to get to sleep post game or post a late training, which again, can be really difficult, and it's still, but having some of your sleep routines can be helpful then. So when you are trying to settle post game, you can actually fall asleep, and it can be really tricky, but having some of those habits can be really good. So number 2 is nutrition, and nutrition is super important if we're thinking about our body is trying to repair and regenerate. So it needs fuel to be able to do all of that regenerating and that repairing of your muscles, tissues, of your cognitive and mental function as well. So there is a lot of research around the 4R framework, which I've had dietitians explain to me as well, which has been really, really great. So that rehydrate, refuel, repair, and rest. So that is that, I guess, cycle that you can think about post either your training or particularly your game day, where that's going to be really, really crucial. So within that sort of first 60-minute window, if you can try and get something that's carbohydrate to refuel your energy levels, and also then you need your protein to help start that repair and regeneration process. So it's important to get that in early so that then when you come to then your lunch meal, dinner meal, whatever it is, time of the day, so that then you're actually not lagging behind and you're getting on that front foot with your repair. Often people leave or don't really think too much about their recovery meals, but you're actually in your body's lagging. You might miss that over the next day or that recovery day on a Sunday, and you're going into the week feeling a bit more under prepared, and it can be an injury risk over time as well if you're under fueling. The nutrition is another whole subject in itself, but to give a bit of a short recap on the things that are really crucial and why nutrition is a really important pillar is that it is the basis of how our body repairs and regenerates as well. So getting carbohydrate and protein post, obviously having your performance fueling as well, that is all really important, but understanding that recovery days, fueling is just as important. And the third thing is hydration. Again, if you're playing a high intensity sport, AFL, if you're in warmer locations, thinking about hydration is really important. We all probably struggle to try and drink enough, but it is something that is habitual, and I think we need to train ourselves to even have those reminders to make sure we're hydrating. So there is a lot of evidence around dehydration and how it can negatively impact your performance. It can negatively impact your mental and cognitive function as well, which is all key for performance, particularly for games or longer trainings that are going over that hour as well. Post training, rehydrating, getting some electrolytes. It might be having a protein drink or a smoothie or a Gatorade. That's a different way that you can rehydrate and refuel as well. But at a high level, you can lose a few percent of your body mass loss essentially from dehydration. A couple of key things with your rehydration: you can track your urine color. You can Google that, have a bit of a look at the different color scale. If you are overhydrated, it will be very clear. If you're really underhydrated, then obviously it's that really, really dark color. So you want to be sitting somewhere in the middle, bit of that lighter color. And so it's a super easy way to check yourself. Fueling and hydrating throughout the game and then into that recovery period, the next 24, 48 hours, really, really important to get yourself back essentially to a good baseline so that when you're training and then you're building yourself back up, particularly at the moment in the season for a lot of you, but you don't want to start down here. You want to get yourself back to your baseline so your week can build and build up to that game day performance. So it's just thinking of that holistically and the way that it can sort of carry on over the week if you're sort of skipping that post game. Now, understanding the different types of recovery. So the way I like to look at it is under that more holistic view where you've got your physical, your mental, and your social recovery. So understanding the way that you feel can really help indicate to which one that you might choose to do. So physical is a lot of what we've just spoken about, feeling a bit stiff and sore and tired, or maybe you're feeling more irritable, lack of motivation, you're feeling a bit flat. So you might choose different things to focus your recovery on depending on, that physical or emotional feeling. So in the physical, it's all about that tissue repair. It's about refueling the glycogen stores. It's the reducing inflammation, all of that sort of a thing. So you might be looking more to your 3 key pillars. And if you've nailed all of them, you might then look to do some more active recovery, like some walking, like a bike flush, a swim. You might go and do Pilates or yoga throughout your week, and that might be a really nice way to get your body moving, to feel like you can flush out some of that soreness of the game. So there's some really nice active and practical ways that you can actually do some physical recovery. So if you're thinking more about your mental or psychological recovery, you are probably thinking more about how are your stress levels? Are you feeling flat, tired, lack of motivation, those type of things? If you're struggling to get through the week, or if you're waking up feeling like that every single day, there might be a component that you need to look at from, not from the physical side, but that ongoing sort of mental fatigue and or stress as well can really impact the way that you perform. And so the things that you might do to target that in recovery is doing things for yourself. It might be spending 30 minutes out in nature. It might be reading a book. It could be listening to a podcast. You could be doing something for fun, like it might be going to watch a movie, something like that. So having a different type of activity that you can do that is just something with nothing attached to it other than just something that you like to do. It might be that if it's a constant ongoing thing, that's a point of where you go, the stress is too much and it is just too constant. So you might need to have someone to talk to as well about that and deal with that side of it. But understanding that targeting this is really important, because having high mental fatigue and stress is a risk factor as well for injury and poor performance too. And the third one is that social. So, again, if you're feeling that bit of lack of connection, or maybe you are just going inward on yourself, having those relationships, friendships, connections outside of yourself and maybe outside of the team, that might be a really nice way to just broaden your perspective, feel connected, feel a part of something else. And that's a really nice way just to get that social. So recognizing you feel like you need to do that, but your body's super exhausted and opting in or out. Sometimes you need to do that and just go out, or sometimes you need to stay home and just look after yourself a little bit more. So it is a very personal thing, but being able to have those tools and different type of recovery options can be really helpful, because I think everyone just thinks, ice baths, saunas, which I mean are amazing as well. And they can be a really great way to utilize just time for yourself. Like I love using the saunas and the hot and colds for recovery and for just more so time for me. But for a lot of people who don't have that time, it might be focusing back on, okay, I might get my sleep right, get my fueling right. I might add in a walk. I might make sure I'm checking off something that's really good for me personally, whatever my hobbies are. So prioritizing those things can really balance you out when you're trying to perform at a high level, you're trying to manage work, you're trying to manage training. So hopefully out of those 3 key pillars, you can identify either which ones you do really well or which you might be having a bit of a gap in one of those, and you can reach out about them and try and delve a little bit further into that. Or when you go to opt for recovery and think, oh, what do I actually need? Look at it from that physical, mental, and social lens and go, yeah, I'm feeling a bit down. Maybe I'll go and see friends. Or I'm feeling a bit irritable or a bit frustrated. I might spend 30 minutes going for a walk or reading a book or something like that. Or your body might just feel sore and tired. And so, yeah, you want to go and do some ice baths, some hot and colds, or do some mobility, do some yoga. So it is very individualized, but I think having that perspective on the way that it all works together is really important. And I think, again, it's oversold to us a lot, the things that we need to do for recovery. But if you bring it back to the basics, there are really simple things and simple habits and tips and tricks that you can take away from this. If you just focus on that sleep, nutrition, and hydration first, nail them, and then try and implement 1 or 2 things over this season to try and really help you recover, feel good. And it's all about making sure that you can enjoy the things that you're doing, enjoy your sport, enjoy your training, and not feel a stress to have to add a lot of different things. So if you have any other tips or tricks or things that you have found that's worked really well for you, feel free to comment below. Thank you for listening. If you can subscribe, share it, that would be amazing. And I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next episode.